Here, my mother says sharply. Her voice cuts through the fancy ballroom like a knife, clear, cold, and meant to hurt. The room goes quiet, people freeze with their champagne glasses halfway to their lips. All eyes turn to look, following her anger straight to me. My younger sister, Sophia, crosses her arms and smirks. "You're not invited," she says loudly, just enough for people nearby to hear and start whispering. My father, Gregory Carter, doesn't react. He doesn't even glance at me. He just takes a sip of his drink and acts like I'm invisible. I'm not surprised. I take a step forward. My heels hit the marble floor with a sharp sound. Each step feels like a warning. The Grand Bellevue Hotel, with all its luxury, was built for people like them. Not for people they left behind. Not for people they tried to erase. But tonight, I'm not invisible. Tonight, I'm in control. I feel the tension growing in the room. Guests shift uncomfortably, gripping their glasses tighter, sensing something is off, even if they don't recognize me yet. Then I see it, the first sign that their perfect mask is cracking. Not from my mother. Not from Sophia. But from Ryan Sterling, Sophia's fiancé. His smile drops. He freezes. His hand twitches. He swallows hard, like he's just seen something shocking. Now that's interesting. I tilt my head and let the silence stretch. Let them feel the pressure. And then I speak, calm and clear, but with power behind every word. "Do you really not know who I am?" The room reacts instantly. Whispers start. Dresses rustle as people shift. Conversations stop mid-sentence. I see my mother's hand tighten around her glass. I see Sophia's confident look falter, just for a second. They thought I'd come here afraid, that I'd back down, that I'd still be the girl they pushed aside. Instead, I smile, slow and steady, like a knife being drawn. My name is Isabel Carter. And with that, everything they thought was perfect starts to fall apart. I still remember how cold it was. Not just the wind, but the feeling of being completely alone, rejected, unwanted. My father, Gregory Carter, stood in the doorway of our huge house, arms crossed, face blank. Behind him, my mother, Margaret, didn't even look at me. She just sipped her wine like I was already gone. And then there was Sophia, my younger sister. The favorite, the one who always had their love and approval. She stood there wrapped in a warm coat, smirking like this was no big deal. "You're a burden," my mother had said, her voice flat and cold. "A waste of time, a waste of money." I wanted to yell, to beg them not to do this. But deep down, I knew how it would end. "No buts, Isabel," my father cut in, his voice matched the cold night air. "You're an adult, figure it out." Then the door closed. Just like that, I was gone from their lives. I stood there, staring at the door, hoping someone would open it, hoping someone would come after me. No one did. The wind blew harder as I pulled my thin coat tighter around me. All I had was $17.28 and the clothes I was wearing. For 3 nights, I slept behind Rosie's diner, curled up near the dumpsters. The heat from the kitchen vents barely kept me from freezing. I was hungry, exhausted, but I didn't give up. On the 4th morning, someone found me. Rita Dawson, the diner's owner, stood over me with her arms crossed, looking me up and down. "If you're going to hang around, you might as well help," she said, tossing a broom at my feet. That was my first chance. I cleaned, I washed dishes, I worked long hours without complaining. By the end of the month, Rita let me sleep in the storage room on an old cot. By the end of the year, I saved enough to start community college. I didn't stop. At 20, I earned a full scholarship to a top business program. At 23, I got an internship at a growing medical startup. By 27, I launched my own medical nutrition company. It took off, and made me a millionaire. The Carters never knew. They didn't deserve to. Back in the ballroom, Sophia is the first to react. She lifts her chin and smirks like always. Confident, superior, like she owns the room. She lets out a fake laugh, loud enough for the guests to hear. "God, Isabel," she says, "you just had to show up and make a scene. Still chasing attention? What, couldn't even finish college, so now you're crashing my wedding?" I smile slowly. "Oh," I say, tilting my head, "is that what they told you?" For the first time, I see a flicker of doubt in her eyes. I reach into my clutch and pull out a folded piece of paper. I unfold it carefully, letting everyone feel the suspense. Then I hold it up, just enough for Ryan, her fiancé, to see. His eyes scan the page. His face turns pale. "What is this?" he asks, his voice low but tense. Sophia shifts uncomfortably beside him, her hands tighten. "Oh, please, she's lying," she snaps. "It's your school record," I say calmly. "The one that proves you never finished medical school." Gasps ripple through the guests nearby. Ryan just stares at the paper, jaw clenched, fists curling. He knows it's real. Sophia looks between us, panic rising. She laughs, loud and fake. She throws her head back like it's all a big joke. "This is pathetic," she says. "You think this piece of paper can ruin my wedding? Honestly, Isabel, you're just jealous." She waves her arms. "Look at me. I have everything you don't, a great fiancé, a loving family, a future you can only dream of." I don't react. I take one step closer and say quietly, "If I don't matter, why do you look so scared?" Her smirk twitches. Just for a second. But I see it. Ryan sees it too. His grip tightens on the document. "Sophia," he says, voice cold, "tell me this isn't true." She tries to laugh it off again, but there's fear in her voice now. "Oh my God, Ryan, you're actually believing her?" She's twisting things, like she always does, just to feel important. "Lies," I cut in smoothly. "Interesting, because I have more." The tension in the room shifts, sharp and electric. Margaret steps forward now, ever the strategist, ever the cold, calculating matriarch. "Enough of this nonsense," she says, voice clipped. "I won't let you ruin your sister's wedding with these absurd accusations." I turn to her, meeting her gaze head on. "Oh, Margaret," I say, smiling just slightly, "you should know better than anyone that I don't make accusations. I present facts." And then I drop the next bombshell. "Why don't we talk about the financial fraud case against the Carter family clinic?" Dead silence. Gregory Carter, my father, the man who stood in that doorway all those years ago and threw me into the cold, stiffens. His jaw twitches. I reach into my clutch again, this time pulling out a sleek black USB drive. I toy with it between my fingers, watching as realization dawns in his eyes. "I have bank statements," I continue, voice light, casual, emails, legal documents, proof that your little family-run clinic has been committing insurance fraud for years. Sophia inhales sharply. Margaret's fingers tighten around the stem of her champagne flute. "Gregory?" He pales. The murmur among the guests grows louder now, whispers turning into quiet gasps. "That's ridiculous," Gregory says finally, his voice low, controlled. "You have no idea what you're talking about." I take a slow step closer, lowering my voice just enough for only him to hear. "You didn't think anyone would find out, did you?" He flinches. For the first time in my life, Gregory Carter looks afraid. "Dr. Manning steps forward, his face red with fury, his fingers clenched into fists at his sides. The once composed and distinguished hospital director now looks like a man who just realized he's been made a fool of. His voice cuts through the stunned silence like a blade. "You told me she had her degree," he says, his sharp gaze locked on Gregory. "You vouched for her, you guaranteed her credentials were legitimate." Margaret, ever the master of deception, straightens her shoulders, forcing a smile that doesn't quite reach her eyes. "Dr. Manning, this is a misunderstanding. Whatever my daughter did or didn't do, she never graduated," I say, voice cool, steady. "She never even came close." Ryan hasn't moved. He's still staring at the document in his hands, his knuckles white, his breathing uneven. Finally, he exhales, slow and measured, and turns to Sophia. His voice is eerily calm. "Tell me this isn't true." Sophia doesn't answer. Ryan's face hardens, his fingers curl around the engagement ring on his hand. "I defended you," he mutters, his voice barely above a whisper. "I trusted you, and the whole time, you were just..." He cuts himself off with a sharp, humorless laugh. Then, without another word, he yanks the ring off his finger and hurls it at her feet. The metallic clink against the marble floor is deafening. Sophia makes a desperate sound, reaching for his arm, but Ryan steps back, disgust twisting his features. "Don't," he snaps, his voice filled with raw betrayal. Margaret's eyes widen and she lunges forward, her voice dropping into a pleading tone, one laced with the kind of manipulation she's perfected over the years. "Ryan, sweetheart, let's be reasonable. You and Sophia are meant to be together. A few mistakes don't change that." Ryan shakes his head, his expression filled with something dangerously close to regret. "You don't get it, do you? It's not just one mistake, it's everything, every word, every lie, every fraud." He turns to look at me then, his gaze filled with something unreadable. "She was right." Margaret blinks, momentarily speechless, and for the first time, true desperation flickers in her eyes. But I'm not done yet. I exhale, slow and deliberate, letting the weight of the moment settle before I drop the final bombshell. "You've been using my identity for tax fraud, for the past decade." The room erupts. Margaret gasps, Gregory's face goes white, the whispers around the ballroom turn into full-blown murmurs of shock. "That's a lie," Gregory snarls, his voice shaking. I smile. Is it? I pull a second USB drive from my clutch, holding it between two fingers. Because I had my identity checked recently, imagine my surprise when I found out that someone had been filing fraudulent tax returns under my name, someone who just so happens to own a certain family-run clinic. Dr. Manning turns sharply to his assistant. Call the legal department, now. Gregory lunges forward, but security is already stepping in, the weight of my words crashing over him like a tidal wave. His composure shatters. You think you're better than us? He roars, his voice desperate, unhinged. I meet his eyes, tilting my head slightly. I don't have to think it, I say, my voice smooth, unshaken. I know it. Security grips his arms just as Margaret stumbles back, her perfectly polished facade cracking, panic finally setting in. The guests step away now, their gazes filled with nothing but judgment and scandal. The once revered Carters, nothing more than cautionary tales. And Sophia? She's on her knees, sobbing, her perfect wedding dress pooling around her in ruins. I take one last look at the wreckage I've left behind, then I turn my back on them. The ballroom is chaos, security moves swiftly, their voices low but firm as they escort Gregory and Margaret Carter out, their protests drowned by the murmurs and stares of the onlookers. The mighty, once untouchable Carters, reduced to nothing. Dr. Manning is already making calls, ensuring Gregory's medical license is revoked. The IRS won't be far behind. Their empire is crumbling. Their wealth, their influence, gone. And Sophia? She's still on her knees, her sobs muffled against the pristine marble floor. The engagement ring Ryan threw at her feet glints under the chandelier light, untouched, abandoned. Just like she left me, all those years ago. I take one last look, not out of nostalgia, not out of regret, but because I want to remember this moment. The moment the people who discarded me finally faced the weight of what they had done. Sophia's tear-streaked face lifts to meet mine, desperation clear in her trembling voice. Isabel, please. The words I once might have yearned to hear, the ones I once would have clung to. But that girl, the one who wanted their approval, their love, died in the cold, the night they shut that door. I tilt my head, considering, then smile faintly. You never cared about me, I murmur, voice soft, final. And now I don't care about you. Her lips tremble, a fresh sob threatening to break free, but I don't wait to hear it. I turn, stepping over the shattered remains of their perfect little world, and walk away. Outside, the air is crisp, fresh, like the first breath after escaping a burning building. The city hums in the distance, unaware of the destruction I've just left behind. And Nathan is waiting. He doesn't speak at first, just watches me, his dark eyes assessing. He doesn't ask if I'm okay, he already knows. Instead, he raises a brow, his lips twitching slightly. So, cake. I blink, startled, then laughter spills out of me, a real, unrestrained laugh, the kind I haven't felt in years. Yes, I say, still grinning, let's get cake. Because revenge wasn't the point. Freedom was. And now? I am finally, completely free.